Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Hey guys, this is my first time making a novel, Journey to the West. If you like this novel, I will make more. Let me know if you want more novels like Journey to the West or not. Chapter 1. Wild and Desolate Mountains. On a bare, large blue stone, sat a handsome, almost eerie, bald monk with an imposing air. He was dressed in a brocade robe, but a cigarette dangled from his mouth, smoke billowing around him, his eyes scanning the surroundings with a fierce gaze. Anyone who didn't know better would think he was involved in some kind of shady organization. Damn it, I've been transported to the world of Journey to the West, and I've become that good-for-nothing Tang Shen who only knows how to chant Amitabha. His name is Tang Sanzang. In his previous life, he was a powerful gang leader in a coastal city, known as Master Zhang. In an accident, he was hit by a dump truck. When he woke up again, he had become Tang Sanzang. He has merged his memories and now he has just set off from Chuang, preparing to go to the Western Paradise to obtain the true scriptures. They also knew that Chuang Ridge was not far ahead, and they would soon encounter the first wave of monsters, General Yin, Lord Xiangshan, and Master Te. In the original book, his two foolish attendants would be disemboweled and have their hearts ripped out by a demon, becoming someone else's snack. He himself would be rescued by an old man named Venus and survive by sheer luck. What a lousy plot! Tang Sanzang took a deep drag on his cigarette, then smashed the butt on the ground and stomped it out. To think that I, a legendary figure of my generation, would now have to rely on an old man for rescue? If word gets out, how can I possibly survive in the underworld? Beside him, two guards dressed in Tang dynasty official robes, leading a thin horse, watched Tang Sanzang with trepidation. From the moment he left the borders of Chuang, this eminent Buddhist monk began to act increasingly strangely. He doesn't chant scriptures, doesn't meditate, has a fierce look in his eyes that makes him seem like he wants to eat people, and behaves more like a bandit than a bandit himself. Brother Li, the holy monk, he's got a straw in his mouth, puffing away and smoking. What's he doing? Zhang San's voice trembled, his worldview had been shaken. Li Si swallowed hard and forced an explanation. This must be some kind of secret Buddhist technique of exhaling mist. I've heard it said that some highly accomplished monks can use their own energy, combined with the essence of plants and trees, to perceive demonic auras and ward off evil spirits with their breath. The holy monk is paving the way for us. Tang Sanzang ignored the two guards whose legs were trembling. He suddenly jumped down from the blue stone, dusted off his robe, and roared impatiently. What are you standing there for? Let's go. The sooner we get there, the sooner we get to Mount Ling. Ah? Oh. Yes, yes, yes. Holy monk, please calm your anger. Zhang San and Li Si were startled and quickly pulled on the reins. Tang Sanzang looked at their clumsy attempts and shook his head in disdain. They have no sense at all. No wonder that General Yin ripped out their hearts and livers to eat with his wine. His voice wasn't loud, but it was exceptionally clear in the silent mountains. Upon hearing this, Zhang San and Li Si's faces turned deathly pale. Holy monk, what did you say? What general? What darling? Tang Sanzang was too lazy to explain and was about to hurl a few more insults when a cold, emotionless mechanical voice suddenly echoed in his mind. Ding! Strong rebellious psychology and survival instinct detected in the host. The God-level selection system is automatically binding. Immediately afterwards, a semi-transparent, light blue virtual panel appeared out of thin air in front of him. Host, Tang Sanzang. Age, 26. Cultivation level, none. Bloodline, 6-winged golden cicada, sealed. Magic item, none. Spell, none. Overall assessment, aside from its good looks, it's utterly useless, at the bottom of the food chain, and could be eaten as Tang Sanzang flesh by monsters at any time. Tang Sanzang was stunned at first, then rubbed his eyes hard. After confirming that it was not a hallucination, a look of wild joy appeared on his face. Great! Wow! Novels never lie. A must-have cheat code for transmigrators, system bro, you've finally arrived. He forcibly suppressed his excitement and mentally shouted, System! Tell me, what functions do you have? Can you make me a saint and an ancestor immediately? The system responded with a cold, mechanical voice. This system is a God-level choice system, designed to provide the host with different life choices and distribute corresponding rewards based on the host's choices. Principle: simple, brutal, and satisfying. Upon hearing this, Tang Sanzang's eyes lit up even more. Simple and straightforward? Awesome! That's exactly what I like. Why bother with all that fancy stuff? Just then, a sudden gust of cold wind swept through the forest ahead, rustling the leaves. A few faint growls of wild beasts could be heard. Zhang San and Li Si immediately tensed up, gripping their knives and trembling in their voices. Holy monk, there's movement. Tang Sanzang grinned, a bloodthirsty glint in his eyes, and cracked his knuckles. What's there to be afraid of? Back in my day, when I was killing people at the docks, what kind of bloodshed haven't I seen? Ding! Detected that the host has encountered the first tribulation of Journey to the West, encountering a demon at Chuang Ridge. Initial selection now issued. Option 1, retreat is the best option, await Venus's rescue. Reward, minor 5 elements escape technique. Option 2, prove your path through slaughter, single-handedly battle 3 demons, and destroy their demonic forms. Reward, a century's worth of cultivation empowerment. Looking at the 2 options, Tang Sanzang grinned, revealing his gleaming white teeth. Wait, my fate is in my own hands. There's absolutely no need to hesitate. I choose number 2. Reward distribution, a century's worth of cultivation power. A surge of heat instantly coursed through his body, and Tang Sanzang felt an immense power coursing through him, as if he could punch through a mountain. When Zhang San and Li Si saw the holy monk suddenly turn around, his eyes fierce, and he even seemed ready to fight, they panicked even more. Holy monk! What are you doing? There may be danger ahead, let's take a detour. Tang Sanzang ignored them, bent down and picked up 2 handy bricks from the ground, weighing them in his hands. He gave a sinister smile to the 2 terrified guards and the eerie mountain forest. Take a detour? What detour? The Buddha said, all beings are equal. Today, this humble monk, Tang Sanzang, will send those few demonic benefactors to the Western Paradise as soon as possible. You 2 good-for-nothings, get back somewhere and watch the carriage. Don't get splattered with blood later. Before he could finish speaking, Tang Sanzang took a deep breath, channeled his inner energy into the depths of the forest, and let out a roar. Listen up, you monsters inside. Your grandfather Tang San is buried here. If you know what's good for you, come out and kneel down to beg for mercy, and I might consider leaving you a whole corpse. If I were to go in and invite you myself, I'd beat the shit out of you. This roar startled not only Zhang San and Li Si. The birds in the mountains and forests were startled and took flight. After a moment of deathly silence, angry roars and heavy footsteps echoed from the depths of the forest. Tang Sanzang licked his lips, his eyes burning with fervor. Far from being afraid, he was even more excited. That's more like it. System, get my newbie gift pack ready. He gripped the brick in his hand tightly, strode forward, and headed towards the direction from which the demonic aura emanated. Chapter 2. General Yin felt he had been having good luck lately. It was originally a small tiger demon on Chuang Ridge, who usually ate passers-by and scared hunters, living a fairly comfortable life. But a few days ago, an unexpected stroke of luck struck it. It was lying in the cave licking its paws when suddenly the cave was bathed in light, and a majestic bodhisattva appeared. It was none other than strangers who came. It is none other than the compassionate and merciful Guanyin bodhisattva. General Yin was so frightened that he was paralyzed, thinking that he had committed many evils and that the bodhisattva was coming to take him away. To everyone's surprise, Guanyin bodhisattva merely glanced at it indifferently and said in a clear, ethereal voice, "Little tiger demon, you have a karmic connection with me." The Tang Sanzang, a pilgrim from the east on his journey to the west, is about to pass through this place. He is the reincarnation of Jin Chanzi, and possesses great merit. If you can accomplish even a small task to help him cultivate his character, you will surely reap the rewards in the future. The task was simple: wait for Tang Sanzang to pass by with 2 guards, then jump out and eat the 2 guards. Just scare that monk so badly he wets himself. The Bodhisattva also specifically emphasized that Tang Sanzang is just an ordinary monk with no strength to even kill a chicken. You only need to scare him, don't actually harm him. This is like a windfall. By eating 2 blood offerings and scaring a weak monk, can one establish a connection with a bodhisattva and even gain merit? So General Yin specially invited his sworn brothers, Lord Xiangshan and Master Ti, to lie in ambush by the roadside, waiting for the legendary cowardly monk to come to their door. But now, General Yin's huge tiger eyes widened like copper bells, his pupils filled with bewilderment and disbelief. It looked at the bald man in front of it. His robe hung askew, revealing his strong arms. He had a smoking straw in his mouth and was weighing 2 large, angular bricks in his hands. The monk's gaze towards it showed not a trace of fear, but rather was filled with excitement. No. Didn't the Bodhisattva say that this was a highly respected Buddhist monk, so careful that he wouldn't even step on an ant? General Yin was internally ranting and raving. What the hell makes him look like a high monk? His eyes are more ferocious than any demon's. Forget about being compassionate, at least he doesn't look so greedy while carrying a brick. Little did it know, Tang Sanzang was secretly calculating, wow! Such a huge tiger! How many pounds of meat must it weigh? Tiger bones for wine, tiger pee for aphrodisiacs, and tiger skin for a blanket. Tang Sanzang licked his lips and roared excitedly. Hey you big oaf over there! Yeah, you tattooed tiger! What are you looking at? Come here and let me, the funeral master, weigh you and see if your flesh is tough enough. General Yin, along with the black bear demon and the wild ox demon beside him, were stunned, their eyes filled with disbelief. Is this monk talking to us? They still call us big, dumb idiots? Still considering the quality of the meat? Xiang Shanjun nudged General Yin and asked in a simple, honest voice, Brother Tiger, has this monk gone mad with fright? Special Envoy also shook his horns, I think he might not be a little mentally sound. General Yin felt he had lost face. It's the undisputed king of Shuangcha Ridge, how can it maintain its reputation if a monk publicly comments on its meat quality? So it decided to teach this arrogant monk a lesson. After all, the Bodhisattva only said not to kill him, not that he couldn't be beaten. You monk! Cease your arrogance! General Yin mustered his courage and let out a deafening tiger's roar, attempting to intimidate the opponent with his demonic aura. This general is... It hadn't finished speaking. Tang Sanzang's eyes lit up, and he shouted, loud voice. Strong breath, the flesh must be firm. Look at the bricks. Before he could finish speaking, a brick, whistling through the air, struck General Yin squarely on the bridge of his nose. Ah! General Yin let out a shrill scream, the excruciating pain from his nasal bone caused tears and snot to stream down his face. It was stunned, completely stunned. This monk has no sense of martial ethics. Why did they attack without even giving any warning? And this strength, is this even human? Buddha, you're lying to me. What happened to being completely helpless? That brick was swung more fiercely than my whirlwind. Ding! The host has initiated an attack on General Yin, triggering the hidden achievement strike first, and rewarding the temporary skill, brick critical strike, next hit doubles power. Upon hearing the system notification, Tang Sanzang became even more excited. A critical hit is possible? Awesome! He didn't give General Yin a chance to react at all, picked up another brick, rushed over, and started hitting and cursing as he went. You think you can scare people like that? I'll let you eat the guards. So what if you're ugly? You're blocking the way for the funeral procession. Did you even ask the funeral procession's bricks? Bricks rained down, specifically targeting General Yin's face, nose, and eye sockets, areas prone to injury. Xiang Shanjun and Te Chushi tried to help, but Tang Sanzang slapped them with bricks, leaving them dizzy and disoriented. 3 monsters who usually roamed Chuang Ridge were now beaten so badly by a monk with a brick that they were helpless and fled in terror. Tang Sanzang felt increasingly unsatisfied as he fought. The large cassock was really in the way. He simply ripped open the cassock, rolled up the sleeves, and revealed his entire arm. Suddenly, a ferocious blue dragon tattoo appeared on his muscular arm, seemingly ready to come alive and devour him with every movement. The guards Zhang San and Li Si, who were just about to sneak away, happened to turn around and see this scene. The two of them nearly popped their eyes out. Zhang San's voice trembled, and he was almost crying. Brother Li! Am I seeing things? What's that on the holy monk's arm? Li Si's face was deathly pale, and his lips trembled. Azure Dragon, Sashimi, is this some kind of high-ranking Buddhist monk? This is clearly a notorious bandit. What are you waiting for? Run! Zhang San screamed, no longer caring about his mission or responsibilities, and scrambled back as fast as he could. Li Si was even more blunt, to be a bodyguard for this kind of high-ranking monk? Make me risk my life? Bah! I want to live a few more years. After saying that, he ran faster than Zhang San. General Yin and his companions were terrified. They could clearly sense that the monk in front of them had no magical power fluctuations whatsoever, he was just a pure mortal. But for some reason, his unreasonable and fierce aura, along with the incredibly powerful brick, dissipated their demonic energy, leaving them with no thought of resistance. He could only be beaten like a grandson, howling in pain. Just as Tang Sanzang was getting into the swing of things, pondering whether to stew the tiger or roast the black bear first, at that crucial moment. Above the sky, auspicious clouds gathered, and rays of Buddhist light shone down, accompanied by a shout filled with shock, anger, and disbelief. Tang Sanzang! What are you doing? Guanyin Bodhisattva rides on a lotus platform, suspended in mid-air. During this time, she had been secretly observing the movements of the pilgrims and discovered that this reincarnation of Jin Chanzi seemed to have a somewhat unconventional personality, quite different from what was recorded. But she didn't take it too seriously, thinking it was just that the 10 reincarnations had tainted her with a bit of worldly dust. But today, after some quick calculations, she sensed an unusual fluctuation in the demonic energy at Chuang Ridge, so she rushed over to check it out. What she saw next shattered her worldview. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. The Tang monk, who should have been trembling with fear at the sight of the monster, is now shirtless, revealing his hideous tattoos, wielding a brick, and beating the monster who was tormenting him until it cried for its parents. This art style is off. Guanyin Bodhisattva took a deep breath, barely maintaining her dignified demeanor, but her voice trembled slightly. Tang Sanzang! You are a disciple of Buddhism, how can you act so violently and recklessly, bullying these mountain spirits? Stop right now! Chapter 3. Tang Sanzang looked up and saw the dignified and majestic Guanyin Bodhisattva in the clouds. His eyes lit up immediately. He thought to himself, this woman is really good looking. Even more attractive than the top hostess at the nightclub in my past life. I must get my hands on her if I get the chance. But his face instantly switched to a serious expression, while his hand continued smashing the brick without stopping. Instead, he smashed it even harder, and loudly replied. Reporting to the Bodhisattva. This disciple is indeed diligently cultivating in accordance with the Bodhisattva's teachings. Guanyin was taken aback. Tang Sanzang, while slamming a brick down again, knocking General Yin, who was trying to sneak away, to the ground once more, said righteously. Bodhisattva, look! The Buddha said, eliminating evil is doing good. These demons are wreaking havoc here, eating and killing people. Now that I have encountered them, how can I stand idly by? I am using the most direct method to help them be reborn in the Pure Land. This is a great act of merit. Bodhisattva, don't you agree? Having said that, while Guanyin was momentarily speechless due to his twisted logic, he swung his arm in a wide arc. He poured all his strength into it and unleashed a brick strike at General Yin's skull. Bang! A muffled thud, accompanied by the sound of a skull shattering. General Yin's enormous tiger eyes instantly lost their luster, his massive body twitched twice, and then he remained still. The air seemed to freeze at that moment. Xiang Shanjun and Special Envoy's pupils dilated sharply, and they huddled together in fear, trembling. For the first time, a crack appeared on the ever-compassionate and serene face of Guanyin Bodhisattva in the clouds, filled with shock, bewilderment and a hint of existential doubt. Tang Sanzang tossed aside the blood-stained brick, clapped his hands, and grinned at Guanyin in the clouds. Bodhisattva, there's no need to praise me. He nonchalantly kicked away the tiger carcass at his feet. The Buddha said, if I don't go to hell, who will? The entire hall fell silent. Guanyin's slender fingers gripped the jade bottle tightly, her knuckles turning white, her exquisite face filled with disbelief. She never expected that the gentle and refined Jin Chanzi she remembered, who wouldn't even step on an ant. After reincarnation, he turned out to be like this, so ruthless and fearless in killing demons. This is even more demonic than a demon himself. She took a deep breath and silently recited a purification mantra. Stay calm, you mustn't lose your composure. Tang Sanzang is the one destined by heaven to retrieve the scriptures. This journey to the West concerns the fate of Buddhism and is also ordained by heaven. We must not allow all our previous efforts to be wasted because of his momentary transgression. Suppressing the urge to shove the bald man under the lotus platform and give him a good beating, Guanyin barely maintained her dignified appearance, though her voice trembled slightly. Tang Sanzang! You must never be so violent again. The Buddha is compassionate, saving all sentient beings through persuasion and guidance, ultimately seeking to help them lay down their weapons and attain Buddhahood. How are you any different from a demon in your actions? Are we ultimately saving sentient beings, or are we acting out of your murderous intent? Tang Sanzang didn't expect this woman to say anything nice. He picked at his ear, looking completely indifferent. Okay. Although he verbally agreed, he inwardly sneered. With his current strength, which comes from only 100 years of cultivation, he is indeed no match for this Guanyin woman. However, once my cultivation level increases and I've collected enough system rewards, I'll definitely get my hands on that haughty woman. Several extremely disrespectful thoughts flashed through his mind, and a wicked smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Seeing his unyielding attitude, Guanyin knew that further words would be useless, so she could only leave him with the words, "You'd better take care of yourself." Then he rode the lotus platform and disappeared into the horizon. She was afraid to stay any longer. I couldn't resist smashing a magic bottle over that bald head. As soon as the Bodhisattva left, Xiang Shanjun and Te Chushi, who had been cowering in the corner trembling with fear, suddenly felt as if the sky had fallen. Our only savior is gone. The fiendish monk's gaze swept over them, causing their demonic souls to tremble, and only one thought remained in their minds. We're doomed. Tang Sanzang leisurely picked up the blood-stained brick from the ground, muttering, Damn it, getting lectured for fighting, how unlucky. Holy monk. Grandfather. Funeral master. Spare my life. Xiang Shanjun knelt down with a thud, kowtowing repeatedly, wailing and crying with snot and tears streaming down his face. My cultivation has been arduous. It took me 50 years to awaken my intelligence, and another 100 years to learn to speak human language. I have an 800-year-old bear queen to feed, and a litter of unweaned bear cubs to feed. I usually just steal some honey, take a bird's egg, and maybe scare some passers-by. I've never eaten a person. That dead tiger forced us to do it. I am a good demon, a truly great good demon. The special official quickly knelt down, tears streaming down his face. Yes, sir. I, old ox, am a vegetarian. At most, I occasionally nibble on the crops. I don't deserve to die. I'm willing to be your mount, carrying you to the western paradise. I'm strong, I can plow the fields, and I can even give massages. Tang Sanzang watched the two demons' tearful performance without the slightest fluctuation in his eyes. Instead, a hint of mockery flashed across them. Just kidding. He learned the lesson of if you don't cut the weeds at the root, they'll grow back in the spring breeze back in his past life when he was involved in gangs. Although these two monsters look pitiful now, those who are not of our kind are bound to have different hearts. Being merciful to the enemy is being cruel to yourself. He made such a basic mistake in his past life. Back then, there was a rival boss's son, who was only a teenager. He knelt on the ground and cried so pitifully that the boss took pity on him and let him go. As it turned out, that kid came back stronger later. But the funeral master is the funeral master after all. In the end, he tied that ungrateful brat and his unfortunate partner together with stones and threw them into the sea to feed the fish. Thinking of this, he no longer hesitated, a fierce glint flashing in his eyes. In your next life, remember not to block my way to my funeral. Before the words were even finished, the brick, accompanied by a whistling sound, landed precisely on the tops of Xiang Shanjun and Special Envoy's heads. Two muffled thuds followed, and then the world fell silent. He clapped his hands. Done. Then he pulled out half a crumpled pack of Furong Wang cigarettes from his pocket, took one out, lit it in his mouth, and took a deep drag. Damn it, there are only a few left. This was the only item from his hometown that he brought with him when he traveled through time. For a heavy smoker who's been smoking for over a decade, without this source of spiritual nourishment, the journey to the west would truly be a hell of ascetic life. He suddenly remembered something and mentally asked, somewhat annoyed, System, where's my newbie gift pack? Stop playing dead. Ding, no. Holy crap. Tang Sanzang was immediately displeased and cursed while smoking a cigarette. I'm being polite by asking you a nice question. Don't think you can control me just because you're affiliated with me. System, you'd better understand your place. You're just my tool, an assistant, not my master. Understand? Don't treat me like one of those spineless hosts who fawn over you. He exhaled a smoke ring, his tone carrying a final warning. I'll ask you one last time, did you? If not, then I'll pretend you never existed, and we'll go our separate ways. The system remained silent for a long time this time. It appears to be assessing the credibility of a host threat. 2.5 minutes later. Ding! Host's unwavering will has been detected. A newbie gift pack has been sent to your system space. Please check. Tang Sanzang's expression immediately changed, and he smiled like a chrysanthemum. Ah, that's more like it. Tongzi, you're quite savvy, aren't you? You know how to seize opportunities. Don't worry, stick with me, and you'll get plenty of benefits in the future. He happily opened the newbie gift pack. Ding! Congratulations on gaining 1000 years of cultivation. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the spell, Great Heavenly Dragon. When cast, a phantom of a heavenly dragon appears behind you, fierce and unparalleled, specifically designed to subdue demons and evil spirits. Ding! Congratulations on winning a pack of Furong Wang cigarettes. Tang Sanzang was overjoyed, feeling a surge of immense power flow into his limbs and bones, causing his cultivation to skyrocket. He exclaimed excitedly, "Excellent! Excellent! Tongzi, you have a bright future. You know I have a taste for this. From now on, if we brothers work together, our strength will be unbreakable." He took another satisfying drag of his cigarette, looked at the mess on the ground, and waved his hand with an air of heroic grandeur. "Let's go. Next stop, let's find that monkey." Chapter 4. Is this the Five Elements Mountain? Tang Sanzang rode his skinny white horse, a cigarette dangling from his mouth, squinting as he surveyed the scene ahead. Before us stood a peculiar mountain, resembling 5 incredibly thick, finger-shaped stone pillars reaching for the sky. He spat out the cigarette butt, patted the horse's neck, and slowly walked towards a place that looked like a crevice at the foot of the mountain. Not far along, a hairy head was seen struggling to emerge from a crack in the rocks. And that is none other than the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. Its entire body was completely crushed by the rocks. Only his head and one arm could move with difficulty. He looked as pathetic as a turtle whose shell had been stepped on. Where is even a trace of the Monkey King's majesty? Sun Wukong was also puzzled. This monk was indeed handsome, but his eyes were even fiercer than those of the heavenly soldiers and generals who had besieged him back then. With a smoking gag in his mouth and his robe askew, he exuded a roguish air that said, "Don't mess with me." Is this the kind-hearted pilgrim Guanyin Bodhisattva spoke of, the one who wouldn't even step on an ant? He seems like a new leader who's just arrived from some mountain stronghold. However, after being oppressed for 500 years, the taste of freedom was more important than anything else, so he quickly shouted at the top of his lungs. "Master! Master! I, old son, am here. Quickly rescue your disciple. I will protect you on your journey to the west to obtain the scriptures." Tang Sanzang stepped forward, squatted down, and examined the famous monkey head with great interest. It must be said that, from a human aesthetic point of view, this hairy face and thunder god's mouth are really not good looking. His face was covered in wrinkles, and his body was covered in tangled hair. But then I thought about it again, and in the monkey world, this Sun Wukong was probably quite a handsome young man, otherwise he wouldn't have been revered as the Monkey King by the monkeys on Flower Fruit Mountain. Ding! Key plot character Sun Wukong detected, triggering a destiny choice. Option 1, follow the rules and plan, remove the talisman, rescue Sun Wukong, and take him as a disciple. Reward, the mantra for the tightening headband mantra. Option 2, start afresh, forcibly subdue him, and use overwhelming power to compel Sun Wukong to sign a master-servant contract and become his subordinate. Reward, 1,000 years of cultivation, 1 contract scroll. After signing, the servant's life and death are entirely in the host's hands. Tang Sanzang looked at the options and grinned. Is there even a need to choose? As a former gang leader who had lived a life of bloodshed at the docks, he knew better than anyone what it took to survive in the underworld. First, that's ruthless enough. Second, they are loyal and righteous. Third, and most importantly, I have many brothers. He's currently all alone, it's time to build his own team. When they attack Ling Mountain, he can't possibly do everything himself, can he? Choose option 2. Reward distributed, 1,000 years of cultivation infused. The contract scroll has been stored in the system space. A power far more immense and vast than before surged into Tang Sanzang's limbs and bones. He felt as if his body had been reshaped, every cell filled with explosive power. His cultivation level soared like a rocket, directly from the human immortal realm to the peak of the earth immortal realm. Just one step away from entering the realm of celestial beings. Tang Sanzang slowly exhaled a breath of stale air, then calmly took out another Furong Wang cigarette, lit it, and smoke swirled around him. He looked at Sun Wukong and said, "Monkey, from now on, you'll follow me, and I'll guarantee you a life of luxury. We'll even storm Mount Ling and overturn Buddha's lotus throne, how about it?" Sun Wukong was stunned, his monkey face filled with bewilderment. Master, what did you say?" This was completely different from the scene of master and disciple recognizing each other and feeling grateful that he had imagined. Smack! A large fist slapped the monkey's head hard, making a crisp and loud sound. "Call me funeral master. Can't you understand human language?" Tang Sanzang, a cigarette dangling from his lips, looked down arrogantly. "Master, that's just a nanny hired by Buddha. I, your master, am the real boss." Sun Wukong was so badly beaten that he saw stars, and the anger he had suppressed for 500 years suddenly flared up. Its eyes instantly turned bloodshot, and it roared furiously, "Awoo! Bald monk! You dare hit me, old son! I'll slap! Slap! Slap!" Its response was met with even denser and fiercer attacks, interspersed with Tang Sanzang's curses. "You dare call me a bald monk? Hasn't 500 years of mountain pressure woken you up yet? Trying to act tough with the funeral director? Do you even know how to write the word death? The Monkey King, my foot. Here, if you're a dragon, you'd better coil up, if you're a tiger, you'd better lie down." Sun Wukong was completely stunned by this series of physics lessons, and didn't even have time to react. Although it was suppressed by the Five Elements Mountain and its magical power was reduced to less than 1/10, as a demon king with a copper head and iron bones, its physical strength was by no means ordinary. But this bald monk in front of it clearly didn't have any magical power fluctuations, it was purely physical strength. Yet, he slapped its head so hard it was buzzing. How much strength did that take? Tang Sanzang seemed to have gotten tired of fighting. He shook his hand and sneered, "What? You're not convinced? Still think you're that hothead who caused havoc in the heavenly palace?" As he spoke, a thought flashed through his mind, and he retrieved the contract scroll from his system space, his tone domineering and leaving no room for argument. "Sign it, and I'll let you out and take you on some exciting adventures. Don't sign, you can continue gnawing on the dirt down this mountain until the next pilgrim comes along, and see if he's as easy to talk to as I am." Sun Wukong looked at the contract, his monkey eyes gleaming. It remained silent for a few seconds. A glint of cunning and ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. "Freedom. It wants freedom. It refuses to believe that a mere scrap of paper can truly restrain the great sage equal to heaven. Once I, old son, get out of here and regain my magic power, the first thing I'll do is tear up this damn contract and then settle the score with this arrogant bald monk. Okay. I'll sign." Without hesitation, Sun Wukong used his still-functioning claws, dipped them in his own blood, and pressed his claw mark onto the contract. It couldn't contain itself any longer and urged, "Master! Burial Master! Quickly release me, old son!" Tang Sanzang retaliated with another crisp, large punch. "What's the rush? Don't you know any manners?" Only then did he slowly raise his head and look at the top of Wuxing Mountain. There, a post radiating Buddhist light shone brightly, it was the seal of the Buddha's 6-syllable mantra. He remembered that if he peeled off the poster, the monkey would come out. But does the funeral process really need to be so complicated? He grinned, channeled his peak earth immortal cultivation, swung his fist, and delivered a simple and brutal punch to the core of the suppressed mountain. "Open it for me." Boom! This is absolutely shocking. The entire Five Elements Mountain trembled violently, and the 6-syllable mantra scroll on the mountaintop instantly dimmed its Buddhist light and turned into ashes. The seal that had suppressed Sun Wukong for 500 years was forcibly broken by him with a single punch. Roar! A roar that pierced the clouds and shattered rocks shook the heavens and the earth. A beam of golden light shot into the sky from the shattered mountain, and demonic energy swept in all directions, stirring up the wind and clouds. The great sage equaling heaven, Sun Wukong, wearing tattered golden chainmail and a phoenix-winged purple gold crown, though disheveled, still possessed the domineering aura of a demon king who looked down upon the world. It hovered in mid-air, gripping its golden cudgel, its fiery eyes fixed intently on Tang Sanzang below, its tone complex yet tinged with arrogance. "Bald, monk. Since you saved me, old son, I'll let bygones be bygones for what happened earlier. Go now, and we're even. If you cause any more trouble, don't blame my golden cudgel for being ruthless." Tang Sanzang was taken aback at first, then burst into laughter as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, laughing so hard he was doubled over. "Even if we're even? Ha ha ha. Monkey, are you still half asleep?" A thought flashed through his mind. This directly triggered the signing of the contract. "Ah!" Sun Wukong let out an extremely shrill scream and fell directly from mid-air. He clutched his head and rolled wildly on the ground, feeling as if his soul was being pierced and torn apart by countless red-hot iron needles. That kind of pain is 1,000 times more terrifying than being hacked at with knives and axes, struck by lightning, or roasted by fire. It's truly worse than death. "Stop! Stop! Burial Master! Burial Master! I, old son, was wrong. Wrong! Spare me! Spare me!" Sun Wukong was in tears, all traces of his former glory as the great sage equal to heaven gone, replaced only by the most primal instinct for survival. "Funeral Master! You're the real master! I, old son, will follow you. From now on, if you tell me to go east, I'll never go west. Please, stop your supernatural powers." Tang Sanzang stopped activating the contract, squatted down, patted Sun Wukong's pale monkey face, and said with a smile, "Wouldn't it have been better if you had been this sensible earlier? I will not resort to family discipline unless I force my father to bury me." He cleared his throat and began to paint a rosy picture. "Follow me, Grandpa Burial, and from now on, we'll split the peach garden on Mount Ling in half. And we'll tear down the Jade Emperor's Ling Xiao Palace and build you a water curtain cave 2.0. I'll steal the Buddha's lotus throne and use it as your toilet. How about that? This future is more promising than all the mess you made back then, isn't it?" Sun Wukong collapsed to the ground, panting heavily, staring at Tang Sanzang's seemingly kind but actually devilish smile. My heart was filled with mixed feelings. This journey to the west seems to be truly going to change its nature. It forced a smile that looked more like a grimace, and weakly replied, "Master Burial is wise." Chapter 5. In the purple bamboo forest of the South Daxia Sea, Guanyin Bodhisattva sits serenely on a lotus throne, the willow branch in the jade vase at her fingertips moving without wind, revealing the unease in her mind. Her delicate brows furrowed slightly, her heart filled with turmoil. This golden cicada. Why did it become so unbelievable? She pondered to herself, filled with confusion and bewilderment. He's a virtuous man who has cultivated for 10 lifetimes, universally recognized in Buddhism as the best candidate for the journey to the West. He's pure in origin and compassionate in nature, otherwise, he wouldn't have been chosen as a key piece in the grand scheme of things. But what about now? Just thinking about that scene at Chuang Ridge made Guanyin's brow twitch. Was that bald monk with hideous tattoos, wielding a brick and relentlessly smashing monsters, really the reincarnation of Jin Chanzi? The ferocity and excitement in his eyes, the slang and vulgarity in his speech, where was the slightest trace of a revered monk? But for some reason. Besides confusion, Tang Sanzang's incomparably handsome yet wicked face also inexplicably appeared in her mind. Especially when he looked up at me, the undisguised possessiveness and provocation flashed in the depths of his eyes. She could sense that Tang Sanzang had some inappropriate, blasphemous thoughts about her. But she immediately extinguished that ripple. Silently recite your sins. After all, this is a major taboo in Buddhism. Apart from the lineage of the joyful Buddha who specializes in this path, all other bodhisattvas and Buddhas must sever worldly ties and attain purity and flawlessness. She stopped thinking about these troubles, mounted her lotus platform, and flew towards the sacred western mountain. This matter concerns the overall success of the pilgrimage. She must inform the Buddha. Lingshan, Dalayan Temple. The Buddha's light shone brightly, chanting filled the air, and golden lotuses bloomed everywhere. This is the most sacred place in the hearts of Buddhists all over the world. Above the main hall, amidst a radiant golden light, sat an enormous, majestic golden Buddha with a compassionate smile, seemingly omniscient about all causes and effects in the three realms. He is the leading figure in Western Buddhism. Tathagata Buddha. Below, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Arhats, and Vaitras are arranged in order, creating a solemn and dignified atmosphere. Guanyin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. How is the journey to the west going? Has Jin Chanzi overcome his initial tribulation and subdued the Monkey King? The Buddha's majestic voice echoed throughout the hall, gentle yet imbued with supreme authority. Guanyin bowed respectfully and replied. Reporting to the world-honored one, Tang Sanzang has now overcome the first trial, the encounter with the demon at Chuang Ridge, and has successfully reached the Five Elements Mountain. The next trial is to subdue the White Dragon at Yingzhou Gorge. At that time, the White Dragon, son of the Jing River Dragon King, will devour his mortal horse, and I, your disciple, can then transform it into a white dragon horse to serve as a mount on our journey to the west. She chose to report the established plan first. The Buddha nodded slightly, a look of satisfaction on his face. Very well. I am quite at ease entrusting this matter to your excellency. The journey to the west is ordained by heaven, and it is also an opportunity to strengthen our Buddhist community, it must not be missed. Upon hearing this, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the hall all showed a hint of envy in their eyes. The journey to the west is a great merit, and the Venerable Guanyin, who presided over this matter, will surely have an even more esteemed position in the future. But there's nothing that can be done, since the Buddha himself decided on this matter, and Guanyin is in full charge. Guanyin hesitated for a moment, recalling the scene beneath the Five Elements Mountain, and decided to speak, but rather cryptically. World-honored one, I have something to say. I have observed that the temperament of the reincarnated golden cicada seems slightly different from what has been recorded before. He is quite unconventional and unrestrained. And their bloodthirstiness seems a bit too strong. As soon as she finished speaking, a bodhisattva who didn't get along with Guanyin sneered, his words laced with sarcasm. What's the big deal? Is Venerable Guanyin making a mountain out of a molehill? Jin Chanzi has undergone 10 reincarnations, what's so strange about him being somewhat tainted by worldly affairs? Could it be that even this minor variable is beyond your control, Venerable One? If you truly cannot handle it, it would be better to replace you sooner rather than later. Guanyin was inwardly angry, but restrained herself from showing it in front of Buddha, and simply said, That was not my intention, I was merely reporting the facts. On his throne, the Buddha still wore a smile, seemingly unconcerned, no problem. As long as he can complete the 108,000 li journey, obtain the true scriptures, and propagate Buddhism, whatever the process, is acceptable. A few variables over countless eons are insignificant. When his merits are complete and Buddhism spreads eastward, he will naturally return to the Buddha's position, cleansed of all worldly defilements. His words exuded absolute confidence. It was as if everything was under control. To put it bluntly, the higher UPS in Buddhism are extremely confident. No matter whether Tang Sanzang cries or laughs, or commits murder and arson on his journey, as long as the final outcome is achieved, they have the ability to set things right. Because the journey to the west was a divinely ordained merit, apart from a few saints, no other powerful beings could deduce or interfere with its specific process. The secrets of heaven have long been obscured. To ensure that nothing goes wrong, the Buddhist sect sent Guanyin to oversee the entire process. Seeing that the Buddha had said this, Guanyin did not say anything more, bowed, and left the Mahavira hall. She still felt uneasy and decided to go and see for herself how Tang Sanzang fared after crossing the Five Elements mountain. She rode a cloud to the Five Elements mountain region, concealed her aura, and hid her form, intending to secretly observe the situation of the newly formed master and disciple pair after they set off. However, when she saw the scene below, her stunningly beautiful face was instantly filled with disbelief, shock, and astonishment. She almost fell off the cloud. Below, on the banks of Eagle's Sorrow Gorge, the water roars. Tang Sanzang sat imposingly on a boulder, a few Rongwang cigarette dangling from his mouth, watching with great interest. The stream churned, but even louder than the sound of the water was Sun Wukong's cursing roar and the whooshing sound of his golden cudgel cutting through the air. The once mighty Monkey King was now wielding his staff, relentlessly pursuing and striking a snow-white dragon with ruthless methods, targeting only the weakest points on its scales. He looks every bit the professional thug. You little mud skipper! You dare to swallow the horse that I, old son, protect? If I don't beat the shit out of you today, you've got a tight A. Bang! A blow struck the dragon's tail, splattering blood everywhere. You dare glare at your maternal grandfather? You're asking for it. Bang bang! The little white dragon cried out in pain as it was beaten. Where is even a trace of the Dragon King's prince's majesty? Above the clouds, Guanyin Bodhisattva, watching this scene completely deviate from the script, felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. According to the original design, at this moment, the white dragon should have swallowed the white horse, Tang Sanzang should have been in a panic, and Sun Wukong should have fought against him but was defeated. Then he appeared in time, enlightened the little white dragon, and staged a meritorious scene of subduing the leg force. But now, Tang Sanzang is watching the show with great interest. Sun Wukong is using excessive force in law enforcement. This is completely different from the original design. At this moment, Tang Sanzang exhaled a smoke ring and lazily shouted towards the direction of the battlefield. Monkey, haven't you eaten? You're having such a hard time even beating a little mudfish. If you still can't handle this after I finish this cigarette, your food will be halved tonight. These words were like a shot of adrenaline to Sun Wukong. The golden cudgel was wielded with even greater power and ferocity. Seeing that the little white dragon had been beaten so badly that its scales were flying off and it was on the verge of death, if they didn't intervene soon, it wouldn't be able to be used as a mount, but could be directly put into a pot to make soup. Guanyin could no longer restrain herself. A flash of Buddhist light enveloped her, and she manifested in the clouds. Her voice, filled with shock, anger, and urgency, proclaimed. Stop! Chapter 6. Sun Wukong, now that you have converted to Buddhism and are escorting the pilgrims on their journey to the West, how can you act so recklessly and ignorantly, committing such acts of killing? Guanyin Bodhisattva took a deep breath, suppressing the nameless anger surging in her heart, and tried her best to keep her tone dignified and solemn. She knew that she couldn't deal with the stubborn Tang Sanzang for the time being, so she could only try to find a breakthrough by dealing with this monkey. As expected, Sun Wukong's expression changed. After all, the lesson that the Buddha taught it 500 years ago was so profound that it is still wary of it now. He thought he had cultivated extraordinary abilities, so he caused a great disturbance in the heavenly palace, forcing the 9 luminaries to close their doors and the 4 heavenly kings to disappear without a trace. Even the Jade Emperor, the ruler of the heavenly court, was so frightened that he hid under the table and cried out, "Quickly, go and invite the Buddha." He had already become the #1 person in the world. And the result? With a single hand, the Buddha overturned the 5 Elements mountain, pressing it down as easily as swatting a fly, suppressing the great sage equal to heaven beneath the mountain for 500 years, where he was exposed to wind and sun, drinking molten copper and eating iron pellets. That feeling of despair and helplessness is etched into my memory. Just then, a lazy yet roguish voice broke the deadlock. Tisk, monkey, what are you afraid of? Tang Sanzang had lit another Furong Wang cigarette at some point, puffing out smoke rings and glancing sideways at Guanyin. I'm not dead yet, who gives you permission to lecture my little brother? He then turned to look at Guanyin, a seemingly innocent but actually reckless smile plastered on his face. Sister Guanyin, what you're saying is a bit unreasonable. Yes, Buddha is compassionate and saves all sentient beings. But shouldn't we explain the reasons clearly? It was this snake that struck first. No, it was its mouth that moved first, swallowing my only mount, the white horse. What? It's okay for it to eat my horse, but not for my brother to beat it up? What kind of logic is that? Is it that only officials are allowed to set fires, while ordinary people are forbidden to light lamps? If things continue like this, how am I supposed to stay in this business? What will my men think of me? Guanyin was momentarily speechless after being confronted by Tang Sanzang's barbed and twisted logic, her chest heaving slightly. She found herself somewhat unable to refute. Why has Tang Sanzang become so sharp-tongued, so prone to arguing and sophistry, and? It even sounds like he has a bit of twisted logic to it. Upon hearing this, the little white dragon, barely alive on the ground, struggled to raise its head and cried out in a tearful voice. Bodhisattva, please witness. Bodhisattva, please help me. Little dragon didn't want to swallow that horse either. It was that monk who cheated. He deliberately drove that white horse to the stream, muttering something about Zhang Taigong fishing, those who are willing will take the bait, and I thought it was a treat falling from the sky. How can you blame me entirely? UFG say that again, try it. Tang Sanzang's eyes suddenly turned cold, his gaze like two icy spikes piercing the white dragon. You can eat anything, but you can't say anything. Which of your dragon eyes saw me cheat? The little white dragon trembled in fear at the murderous glare, swallowing back all the words it was about to say. All that remained were sobs of grievance. It finally understood, this monk had no sense of martial ethics and didn't play by the rules. Guanyin felt like her head was about to explode. I thought the journey to the West would be an easy and virtuous mission to accumulate merit and spread Buddhism, but who knew that this pilgrim was strange from head to toe? He's practically a devil in disguise. But for the sake of the greater good of Buddhism, she could not give up. She could only look at the white dragon again, her tone leaving no room for argument. White dragon, you have violated the heavenly laws and deserve to be punished. It was fate that I showed you the way and had you wait here for the pilgrims. Now that you have consumed the holy monk's strength, it is a good time to atone for your sins. Transform into a white horse, carry the holy monk westward to seek scriptures, and redeem yourself through merit. When your merits are complete, you will naturally attain enlightenment. These words already carried a clear bias and an air of command. She was determined to forcefully steer the plot back on track. Sun Wukong, standing to the side, darted around with his monkey eyes, glancing at Guanyin and then stealing a glance at the composed Tang Sanzang. She thought to herself, this Guanyin is so polite to this bald monk, oh no, to the burial master, how could she keep her so angry while still trying to reason with him? It seems the burial master's background is even more powerful than I, old son, thought. Perhaps, following him might actually lead to some big trouble. Upon hearing this, little white dragon was completely dumbfounded. If the person on the pilgrimage is a truly enlightened monk, then it's acceptable for the animal to be used as a mount. After all, he had made a grave mistake, and even his father couldn't protect it. The Bodhisattva said that this was a way to atone for his sins, and that he would eventually attain enlightenment, which was a way out. But having just witnessed Tang Sanzang's tyranny and Sun Wukong's relentless fighting spirit, it felt utterly disheartened. It felt that if it really became a mount, it wouldn't be atonement, but rather offering itself up as a punching bag. If that monk is in a bad mood, he'll probably use it as a punching bag, and that would be a living hell. Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva, please reconsider. The little white dragon cried out, its tail slapping against the water's surface. Little dragon would rather be punished by the heavenly laws and cast into reincarnation than dare to become the mount of this holy monk. I beg the Bodhisattva for mercy. Even Guanyin was getting a little annoyed. How could this little white dragon be so ungrateful? How can a sinful dragon like you compare to the destined pilgrims on their journey to the west? Putting aside his messy behavior, Jin Chanzi was destined to be the one to retrieve the scriptures. As someone burdened with sin, what right do you have to nitpick about the core projects designated by Buddhism? This matter is settled, say no more. Guanyin's tone turned cold, and she made her conclusion directly. Then she looked at Tang Sanzang, trying to soften her tone. Sanzang, there's one more thing. Wukong is naturally unruly and wild, and I fear he may cause trouble again in the future. I have a golden headband and a mantra for tightening it here. You may. Before she could finish speaking, Sun Wukong's expression changed drastically. Although he didn't know exactly what it was, just hearing the name tightening spell told him it was definitely not a good thing. It must be a powerful magical artifact that can restrain it. However, to everyone's surprise, Tang Sanzang waved his hand, interrupting Guanyin, a troubled look on his face. Sister Guanyin, this puts me in a difficult position. He had a cigarette dangling from his lips, and spoke earnestly, as if imparting some profound truth of the underworld. What do you rely on to survive in this world? It's loyalty. It's integrity. If I, as the leader, don't think about how to treat my brothers to a good life, but instead spend my days figuring out what kind of control or manipulation to use to control them, what do you expect the men to think? Who will want to work with me now? How am I supposed to lead the team? This has become a one-off deal. He patted Sun Wukong on the shoulder and said to Guanyin, the monkey and I are bound by fate, and it's also because he thinks highly of me, Tang Sanzang. I believe that sincerity for sincerity is better than any magic headband. You should take this thing back, you don't need it. Guanyin was utterly speechless. Looking at Tang Sanzang's sincere expression that said, I'm doing this for the sake of team cohesion, she felt a lump in her throat, unable to swallow it. Sun Wukong stood to the side, his expression becoming even more complicated. He looked at the golden headband in Guanyin's hand, then at the bald monk beside him who kept calling him brother and loyal, and his heart was filled with mixed feelings. This monk, although his methods were ruthless and his temper was explosive, his words, somehow sounded kind of heartwarming. Guanyin took a deep breath. I know that things will not proceed as originally planned today. She gazed deeply at Tang Sanzang, as if trying to see through him inside and out, before finally letting out a faint sigh, a flash of Buddhist light, and disappearing into the clouds. Only a faint voice echoed. I hope, you'll take care of yourself. Watching the Bodhisattva disappear, Tang Sanzang curled his lip and kicked the little white dragon that was pretending to be dead at his feet. Stop lying around like a corpse. Hurry up, transform into a horse. If you delay the funeral master's journey, we'll have dragon meat sashimi for dinner tonight. The little white dragon froze, tears welling up in his eyes. In a fit of grief and indignation, it transformed into a magnificent white horse, but the horse's eyes were filled with a despair that made it utterly hopeless. Chapter 7. Master Funeral Director, what you said, is it all true? Sun Wukong scratched his ears and cheeks, his eyes filled with shock. The white dragon horse pricked up its ears, even forgetting to chew its fodder. It never imagined that the lofty Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Western paradise would, in the mouth of this monk, become such a bunch of things. Tang Sanzang slowly exhaled a smoke ring. He leaned back on the white dragon horse, crossed his legs, and had a roguish air about him, as if he were the only one who believed in the truth. Nonsense! When have I ever lied to you, Grandpa Funeral? He flicked his cigarette ash. Monkey, don't you even use your rusty monkey brain? With your 1,000-year-old cultivation, do you really think you can overthrow the heavenly court, which has been in power for billions of years? There are plenty of formidable figures in heaven. The ruthless killers under the true martial emperor, the Star Lords under the Northern Purple Star Emperor, none of them are easy to deal with. Not to mention that old Jade Emperor. He leaned closer to Sun Wukong, lowered his voice, as if sharing some earth-shattering secret. He's able to sit firmly on the throne of supreme power in the three realms. Do you really think he's just a good-for-nothing who can only crawl under tables? That's all an act for you. The purpose is to incite you to go crazy, to make you cause trouble, until things get out of control, so that he has a legitimate reason to ask Buddha to intervene. That's politics, understand? Sun Wukong was stunned. The heroic ambition and domineering confidence of those who wreaked havoc in the heavenly palace 500 years ago seem like a joke at this moment. Imprisoned under the mountain for 500 years, it reflected on its arrogance, but never doubted the strangeness of that raging incident itself. Now that Tang Sanzang has revealed the truth, and considering all the illogical successes of the past, a chilling feeling suddenly arises. 500 years have worn away much of its sharpness, but it has also taught it to think. Looking back now, one can only feel a chill down one's spine. And those bald monks from Mount Ling in the Western Paradise. Tang Sanzang continued his lecture, his tone filled with disdain. It's hypocrisy that opens the door to hypocrisy, hypocrisy to the extreme. With a simple "you have a connection with Buddha," they can brazenly steal people, territory, and magical artifacts. Compassion? That's all nonsense. It's essentially a dog-eat-dog world. If they want something, they grab it. If they can't grab it, they try to deceive. If they can't deceive, they suppress. It's just packaged nicely. He patted Sun Wukong on the shoulder and spoke earnestly. So, monkey, don't always feel like you owe them a huge favor. You were imprisoned for 500 years, and they gave you a quota to go on the pilgrimage? That's not a favor, it's because they have something to hide. Our journey to the West is not to beg them for the scriptures, but to reclaim what rightfully belongs to us. It is what they owe us. Sun Wukong and the White Dragon Horse were dumbfounded. Sun Wukong, in particular, felt as if something inside his head had shattered with a crack. It had always believed that the journey to the West to obtain Buddhist scriptures was an opportunity to atone for its sins, and that the Bodhisattva had given it a chance out of compassion. But Tang Sanzang's explanation completely distorted the meaning of the story. So, I've been just a pawn on someone else's chessboard from beginning to end, and now even my value as a pawn is being squeezed dry? Tang Sanzang looked at his two subordinates, who were staring at him in disbelief, and nodded in satisfaction. Then, a thought struck him. This brought up a system panel that only I could see. Host, Tang Sanzang. Age, 26. Cultivation level, Peak Earth Immortal. Bloodline, 6-winged golden cicada, sealed. Magic item, ancient gold brick. Spell, Great Heavenly Dragon. Overall assessment, from a weakling to someone with a bit of arrogance, but still needs to work hard to reach the grand goal of burying heaven, earth, and Buddha. Looking at the panel, Tang Sanzang felt a surge of joy. Especially that ancient golden brick magic weapon, which was the system reward he received after choosing to forcibly subdue the white dragon. This gold brick may look unremarkable, no different from an ordinary brick, but its power is definitely no weaker than that of a typical immortal artifact. Not only does it hit people incredibly hard, but it also has built-in dizziness and defense-breaking effects. Most importantly, it doesn't consume mana. Purely physical attacks, simple and brutal, perfectly suited to a tough guy like him who believes in actions speak louder than words. If you don't like someone, just throw a brick at them. It's practically a must-have for murder and robbery, perfect for home and travel. It's starting to look decent. Tang Sanzang stroked his chin, pondering. Where will the next ordeal take us? It seems to be Guanyin Temple? Yes, the place where that old monk showed off his robes and was ultimately robbed of his home by the black bear demon. His eyes lit up. That old monk must have quite a collection of treasures, we can use them to supplement our travel expenses. And that black bear spirit, a cultured demon with some taste? Perfect, I need a meat shield, and this bear looks pretty honest, good at both fighting and tanking. It wouldn't be bad to trick him into being a security captain. Thinking of this, he kicked the white dragon horse in the belly. Stop daydreaming. Hurry up, target Guanyin Temple. Get there sooner, and pull off a big heist. The white dragon horse snorted in grievance and started trotting. Sun Wukong, carrying his golden cudgel, followed beside Tang Sanzang, watching his retreating figure with a complex mix of emotions. The amount of information I heard today was overwhelming. It needs to digest properly. However, one thing it was certain of. Following this funeral master, the journey to the west will definitely not be boring, and who knows, we might even manage to pull off something earth-shattering. As the sun set, a man, a monkey, and a horse set off towards the Guanyin temple, kicking up a trail of dust. However, this pilgrimage team looked more like a band of mountain bandits preparing to rob and plunder. Chapter 8. It's been renovated quite impressively. Tang Sanzang squinted as he surveyed the Guanyin temple before him. The walls were high and vermilion, the gate was gilded, and 2 stone lions stood baring their teeth at the entrance, while incense smoke swirled around. Sun Wukong, being quite resourceful, somersaulted to the door and raised his hairy fist to smash it open. Listen up, you people inside. It's me, Old Sunday. Hey, what are you doing? Tang Sanzang snapped at him impatiently. How many times have I told you? In this world, it's all about appearances and presence. Knocking on the door? That's something civilized people do. After saying that, he dismounted. Reaching the 2 sturdy vermilion doors, he channeled his peak earth immortal cultivation and kicked them directly. Boom! A loud bang. The 2 large doors, along with their frames, flew inwards and crashed onto the blue stone slabs in the courtyard, sending splinters of wood flying everywhere. The entire monastery seemed to tremble 3 times. Sun Wukong and the white dragon horse's eyes twitched as they watched, both thinking the same thing, the way the burial lord greets people, is getting simpler and simpler. The young monks who were sweeping the courtyard were completely stunned. They dropped their brooms and stared dumbfounded at the entrance. The bald monk in a cassock with a fierce look, the monastic monkey demon behind him carrying a stick with a hairy face and a thunder god's mouth, and the seemingly foolish white horse. Who are you? How dare you trespass into Guanyin temple? A young novice monk asked, his voice trembling as he mustered his courage. UFG don't even recognize me. Tang Sanzang tugged at his collar and said, I come from the great Tang dynasty in the east. I am Tang Sanzang, the imperial brother, who is on a mission to the western paradise to worship Buddha and seek scriptures. Are you blind? The air froze instantly. The young monks looked at each other in bewilderment. A high-ranking monk from the Tang dynasty? This behavior, it's more like banditry than bandits themselves. Who's making such a racket here? An old, weak voice came from behind. An old monk, dressed in a magnificent robe and holding a staff, slowly walked out of the house. It was Elder Jinchi, the abbot of this Guanyin temple. When he saw the scene at the doorway, he was also taken aback. However, his gaze was soon drawn to the cassock on Tang Sanzang's body. With his discerning eye honed over years of collecting robes, he immediately recognized it as a treasure. Suddenly, a hint of undisguised greed and excitement flashed in his eyes. Amitabha! Elder Jinchi quickly adopted a kind and benevolent expression, clasped his hands together, and said, I was unaware of the holy monk's arrival and have failed to greet you properly. Please forgive me. I am Elder Jinchi, the abbot of this temple. I don't know what the holy monk is doing. Are you the boss here? Tang Sanzang interrupted him, a cigarette dangling from his lips, and pointed to himself with his thumb. I, Tang Sanzang, am passing through this blessed land. It's getting late, and I'm planning to ask for the night's lodging here. Is that all right? He spoke as if it were the most natural thing in the world. It was as if they weren't there to ask for lodging, but rather to conduct an inspection. Elder Jinchi's lips twitched slightly. Looking at the broken gate, he suppressed his anger and forced a smile. No problem. Absolutely no problem. It is an honor for our humble temple to have the holy monk visit. Please come in, please come in. He personally stepped forward and respectfully led Tang Sanzang and his party to the best meditation room. Throughout the journey, Elder Jinchi's flattery reached its zenith. I have long heard that the great Tang dynasty of the East is a celestial empire, a land of outstanding people and abundant resources. Today, having met the holy monk, you are indeed extraordinary in your bearing and dignified in appearance. Even your accompanying monkey protector is exceptionally powerful. He glanced furtively at Sun Wukong, his heart pounding with anxiety. This monkey doesn't look like a friendly creature at all. Upon entering the meditation room, Elder Jinchi instructed the young novice to serve fragrant tea and vegetarian food. Then, his eyes seemed glued to Tang Sanzang's cassock, and he rubbed his hands together, smiling. Holy monk, you must be weary from your journey. Forgive my poor eyesight, but the robe you wear, though seemingly simple, subtly radiates a precious light. Could it be? He began his usual routine, showering her with praise and subtly probing, simply wanting to see it for himself, and even fantasizing about how he could possibly obtain this precious robe. If it were the original, more modest and timid Tang Sanzang, he might have actually been fooled into showing off his robe, or even borrowed it for a while after Tang Sanzang's flattery. But who is Tang Sanzang? He listened to the old bald monk's incessant flattery, growing increasingly impatient, and finally delivered a resounding slap to the buttocks. Smack! You old man! Are you never going to stop babbling on and on? Tang Sanzang glared at him. What's so interesting about a tattered garment? I came here to sleep, not to host a fashion show. Get lost! This slap stunned Elder Jinchi, who covered his face and stared at Tang Sanzang in disbelief. This is truly a highly virtuous monk from the Tang dynasty? They seem even more ruthless than bandits. The monks nearby were even more dumbfounded. As for why he didn't dare to go forward? Well, there's no way around it. This monk may be handsome, but he's too ruthless. They even thought that the monkey next to him carrying a stick looked much kinder than him. Elder Jinchi suppressed the urge to vomit blood and the overwhelming humiliation he felt, and forced out the words through gritted teeth. It was my rudeness. Holy monk, please calm your anger. Please rest well, I will take my leave. After saying this, he led the group of monks, who were now trembling with fear, and slunk away. The meditation room was finally quiet. Tang Sanzang casually lay down on the bed, took out a Furong Wang cigarette, lit it, and took a satisfying drag. Sun Wukong hesitated for a moment, scratched his face, and finally couldn't help but lean closer and whisper. Master Funeral Director, we were just asking for lodging, and we even kicked down their door and beat up the abbot, wasn't that a bit inappropriate? Upon hearing this, Tang Sanzang immediately slapped it hard on the back of the head again, cursing angrily. You monkey, what have you been doing, being buried under the mountain for 500 years? Why have you become so fussy? I've taught you countless times, reasoning with this hypocritical, truly greedy old bald monk is useless. You have to be even more aggressive than them. The more polite you are, the more they'll think you're easy to bully. That old guy's eyes are practically glued to my robe, can't you tell what he's up to? Sun Wukong wasn't angry even when he was beaten. Instead, he gave an awkward laugh. After all, it had gotten used to being beaten these days, and it even felt uncomfortable if it didn't get a couple of whacks from the funeral master. After hearing what Tang Sanzang said, it also realized that it had indeed been a bit overly polite just now. I almost forgot the first rule of following the funeral master. If you can take action, don't just talk. Master Burial is right. Old Sun, was confused. Sun Wukong quickly admitted his mistake. Tang Sanzang nodded in satisfaction. Go, before it gets dark, go and search the nearby mountains. See if there's a black bear demon there, and bring it to me. Although Sun Wukong didn't quite understand, he obediently somersaulted out of the temple and went to find the bear. At that moment, a system notification sounded in my mind. Ding! Host detected in Guanyin Temple, scene selection triggered. Option 1, eliminate the threat completely. Tonight at midnight, destroy the entire Guanyin Temple and seize all its valuables. Reward, 1 random offensive magic item. Option 2, win people over with virtue and demonstrate your own charm, intimidate Elder Jinchi, make him willingly offer up the treasure, and successfully subdue the approaching black bear demon. Reward, substitute puppet, can die in place of the host once, equivalent to an extra life. Tang Sanzang looked at the options and a cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Is there even a need to choose? Of course, choose option 2. Tang Sanzang is a civilized man. Why resort to violence and bloodshed when he can solve problems with his personal charm? How rude! Moreover, that substitute puppet is a lifesaver. It's much more practical than an offensive magic weapon. I choose option 2. Chapter 9. Inside the meditation room in the west wing of Guanyin Temple. Elder, what should we do? An elderly monk, wringing his hands and looking worried, paced back and forth in front of Elder Jinchi. That monk from the east is fierce and menacing, and he's with an even more ferocious monkey demon. Who knows how long they'll stay? What if they refuse to leave? Wouldn't our Guanyin Temple turn into a den of bandits? Elder Jinchi covered his still slightly swollen cheek, his eyes flashing with a mixture of resentment and greed. Humph! What's there to be afraid of? There are so many of us, why would we be afraid of some random outsider monk? He lowered his voice, gritting his teeth. This humiliation of being slapped today, and that peerless cassock, we absolutely cannot let it go. That precious robe is not fit for such a vulgar person. Only when I wear it can its magnificence be truly revealed. He waved his hand, dismissing the old monk. Go back now, I have a brilliant plan. We mustn't let this fellow get away with this. After the old monk left, Elder Jinchi immediately spread out paper and pen and wrote a letter overnight. A sly smile crept across his face. I must ask my good friend, Brother Black Bear from Black Wind Cave, for help. This demon possesses great magical power and is obsessed with Buddhism. He and I are close friends. If I promise to share that robe with him, he will surely lend a hand. Then, in his mind, the black bear spirit, though somewhat capable, was simple-minded and had always been used by him under the guise of exploring Buddhism. This time, he could use him as a pawn once again. Little did he know that the strong ally he had placed so much hope in was experiencing the darkest moment of his life. At the same time, in the dense forest behind Guanyin Temple, a robust black bear spirit with glossy black fur was tightly bound by a glittering golden rope. Its honest bear face was filled with bewilderment and terror. Tang Sanzang, a cigarette dangling from his lips, looked down at the bear and kicked its round belly. Tisk, he looks quite sturdy. Hey, Blackie, I'm giving you a chance. Stick with me, and you'll live the high life, plus I'll teach you some real Buddhism. How about it? Or else? He gave a cruel smile. Let's have roasted bear paws tonight. I heard they're very nutritious. Although the black bear spirit was captured, it still retained some of its backbone. It struggled to lift its head, trying to imitate Elder Jinchi's usual refined manner of speaking, but its bare mouth produced incoherent and nonsensical words. Hey you monk! Stop being so arrogant! I, Black Wind, am a righteous cultivator, a spiritual bear who practices Zen and worships Buddha. How could I associate with you demons and heretics? Kill me or torture me, it's all up to you. I wouldn't be a hero if I even frowned. It intended to speak with fervor and passion, but the words hero that came out of the bear's mouth carried a strong rural flavor, making it look quite comical. Upon hearing this, Sun Wukong chuckled and raised his golden cudgel. Hey! You fool, you're about to die and you're still being stubborn. Grandpa, why waste words with it? Let me, old son, send it on its way with one blow, perfect for an extra meal. Wait! Tang Sanzang stopped Sun Wukong, but his eyes lit up. He circled the black bear spirit twice, marveling at it. You're a real genius. A bear, yet you love learning so much, not bad. You have ambition. I admire you. He crouched down and looked into the black bear spirit's eyes. Let me be frank with you, I am none other than Tang Sanzang, the holy monk sent by the Tang dynasty to the Western paradise to retrieve Buddhist scriptures. I am extremely knowledgeable about Buddhism. I can recite the Diamond Sutra and the Sarangama Sutra from memory. Ask me anything. The black bear spirit's face was full of disbelief, and he huffed and puffed through his bare nose. Pa! Bullshit! What kind of holy monk are you? Kicking down doors, hitting people, and even kidnapping. Elder Jinchi is the true enlightened monk. Jinchi? That old bald monk whose only thought is collecting robes. Tang Sanzang scoffed, what does he know about Buddhism? Looks like he's really fooled you. Seeing that the black bear spirit still had a stubborn look that said, you can't fool me, Tang Sanzang completely lost his patience. He rolled up the sleeve of his monk's robe, revealing a menacing, coiled blue dragon tattoo, his eyes gleaming with a fierce light. Damn it! You won't listen to reason, so you'll have to suffer the consequences. Looks like reasoning with you won't work. Today I'll give you a crash course. Let me show you what it truly means to teach according to aptitude. What it means to perform physical exorcism. What it means to learn through practice. He swung his fist, as big as a sandbag, and smashed it down on the black bear demon's head, roaring as he did so. You're practicing Zen meditation and worshipping Buddha, right? Bang! A heretical sect, is that it? Bang! Elder Jinchi is a highly respected monk, right? Bang! 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 I'll tell you today what it means to be a gentleman who is not a vessel. What it means to teach according to aptitude. What it means that spare the rod and spoil the child. No, it means spare the rod and spoil the child. The empty back mountain echoed with the black bear spirit's mournful howls and Tang Sanzang's roars filled with teaching enthusiasm. Occasionally, Sun Wukong would clap and cheer from the sidelines, adding his own embellishments. Well done. Grandpa Zhang. Left. Yes. Give it a hit on the right too. Let it learn its lesson. Half an hour later. Tang Sanzang, exhausted from the fight and panting heavily, lit a Furong Wang cigarette. Looking at the bruised, swollen-faced, tearful black bear demon on the ground, he said irritably. Damn it! Why didn't you just behave yourself earlier? You forced me to resort to a physical education. What a temper! He won't submit unless he's beaten. The black bear spirit was on the verge of tears, the entire bear felt like it was about to fall apart. He was internally screaming, who the hell knew you'd preach Buddhism like this? This isn't a holy monk, this is clearly a living Yama. However, during the beating, it did learn some things, such as that the bald monk's fists were really hard and his strength was really great. Moreover, the few Buddhist terms that occasionally popped out of the bald monk's swearing seemed a bit off, but upon closer examination, they actually did seem to have a damn profound truth to them. Its not so bright bear brain actually managed to memorize every single word it overheard while being beaten. Seeing the fear mixed with a hint of confusion and understanding in the black bear spirit's eyes, Tang Sanzang exhaled a smoke ring, knowing that the time was almost right. He kicked the black bear spirit. How about it? My Buddhist teachings, aren't they more powerful and more direct than that old man Jinchi's empty rhetoric? Seeing Tang Sanzang's ambiguous smile and Sun Wukong's stance of being ready to deliver a few more blows at any moment, the black bear demon finally cowered completely. It said in a muffled, tearful voice. Awesome, Master Funeral Director, Old Black, am convinced, I'll follow you from now on. Tang Sanzang nodded in satisfaction. He winked at Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong understood and stepped forward to untie the rope binding the demon. The black bear spirit struggled to his feet, shook his dizzy head, and looked at Tang Sanzang with a complicated expression. There was fear, there was awe, and perhaps even a hint of, a strange sense of identification with a wise mentor. It shook its enormous head, cautiously took 2 steps closer, and nervously rubbed its paws together. Uncle, could you explain the Analects of Confucius to me in detail when you were beating me earlier? Idiot! Can't you even understand this? The Analects begins with, to learn and at due times to practice what one has learned. Is this not a pleasure? Do you know what that means? It means, once you learn a new skill, you have to practice beating people up all the time. Isn't that great? The black bear spirit suddenly understood, and slammed its paw on the ground. I understand. Just like you said, the people can be made to follow a path, but they cannot be made to understand it, which means, if you can take action, don't just talk. Beat them into submission, and they'll understand. Chapter 10. The following morning, Tang Sanzang stretched out a big yawn, his joints cracking, and felt refreshed. He squinted, feeling the cultivation of a peak earth immortal slowly flowing through his body, and felt incredibly comfortable. Tisk, this life is actually not bad. He lit a Furong Wang cigarette and thought to himself with satisfaction. In his previous life, he was the head of a triad at the docks. Although his position was not low and he had a large following, he also made a lot of money. But you have to be constantly on guard against backstabbing from rivals and raids by the police. You have to sleep with one eye open, and you can't do whatever you want like you do now. Although we are now outwardly a pawn of Buddhism, and the journey to the West is fraught with danger, the Emperor is far away, and might makes right. He can beat up whoever he wants, steal whatever he wants, and with a system as a cheat code, this carefree life is practically tailor-made for him. Just then, Sun Wukong walked in carrying a bowl of steaming hot porridge, a fawning smile plastered on his furry face. Master, breakfast is ready, please eat it while it's hot. Tang Sanzang glanced at the thin, watery porridge, his brows instantly furrowing into a knot, and interrupted abruptly. Are you out of your mind? Feeding me this stuff first thing in the morning? Is that appropriate? He almost sprayed the monkey's face with his spittle. I'm a cultivator, I need to replenish my nutrients. Go. Get me some meat. Roast chicken, roast lamb leg, or even a whole fish will do. Sun Wukong stood there, stunned, his monkey face contorted in confusion. It remembers perfectly clearly that the first precept of Buddhism is not to eat meat. This funeral rite is just too outrageous. It stammered and reminded me. Master, this precept. Quit your mother's head. Tang Sanzang habitually swung his hand back and delivered a crisp, powerful slap to the back of the monkey's head. Have you gone mad from chanting Buddhist scriptures? Haven't you heard the saying, wine and meat pass through the intestines, but Buddha remains in the heart? As long as you have Buddha in your heart, anything you eat is vegetarian. Don't you understand? Hurry up! Sun Wukong scratched the back of his head, suddenly realizing what was going on, and nodded repeatedly, I understand, I understand. Master Zhang is brilliant. I'll go get it right away. After saying that, he somersaulted out of the Zen temple and went to find meat. Tang Sanzang watched the monkey's disappearing figure and nodded in satisfaction. He figured it was time to offer his temporary workers some rosy promises and get them on the same page. After we finish eating, I'll gather them together for a meeting to discuss life philosophies and future plans. Since I've decided to conquer the Western paradise with my personal charisma, team building must keep up. I need to make my underlings wholeheartedly follow me. As for the black bear spirit, he sent them out early this morning to recruit soldiers and horses. There are many monsters near Black Wind Mountain. We should recruit as many as possible. Every little bit helps, and together they can become a force to be reckoned with. He's going to build a burial army that can sweep across the 3 realms. Just thinking about it is exciting. A short while later, Sun Wukong returned carrying 2 glistening roast chickens and a lamb leg that was roasted to a perfect crisp on the outside and tender on the inside. Tang Sanzang ate heartily, his mouth greasy with oil. Having eaten and drunk his fill, he wiped his mouth and, leading Sun Wukong and the white dragon horse, swaggered to the large square of Guanyin temple. After standing still, Tang Sanzang channeled his cultivation, cleared his throat, and then let out a loud roar, his voice as booming as a bell, causing the tiles on the eaves of the entire Guanyin temple to vibrate. Gentlemen of Guanyin temple, gather yourselves. I, the funeral master, have something to say. That shout sent the entire temple into chaos. In less than 2 or 3 minutes, 7 or 8 monks, along with Elder Jinchi, whose face was gloomy and whose eyes held resentment, all scrambled to gather in the square. They looked at each other, puzzled and a little afraid, wondering what kind of trouble this ominous great Tang holy monk was up to this time. Elder Jinchi was filled with anxiety and resentment. He hated Tang Sanzang for yesterday's humiliation and today's arrogance. He was anxious because the black bear spirit, on whom he had placed so much hope, hadn't arrived yet. If all goes as expected, Brother Black Bear should have received the letter by now and is on his way, right? Then, humph. He could almost see Tang Sanzang being beaten to his knees and begging for mercy by the black bear demon. He suppressed the evil thoughts in his heart, feigned composure, stepped forward, clasped his hands together, and asked insincerely, Amitabha, may I ask what instruction the holy monk has given us this morning? Tang Sanzang didn't even glance at him, and directly swung his fist at Elder Jinchi, causing him to stagger. Give me pointers, my foot. Who gave you the right to interrupt when I'm speaking? Get lost and cool off somewhere else. Elder Jinchi covered his face, his eyes blazing with venomous resentment, cursing inwardly, go ahead and be arrogant. Just wait until Brother Black Bear arrives, and see how you die. But he dared not show it on his face, and could only slink back to the back of the crowd, praying in his heart that the black bear spirit would come soon. Tang Sanzang cleared his throat and began his impromptu speech, everyone. As you've probably all realized, I, Zhang Yi, am no ordinary monk. Follow me, and your future will be incredibly bright. What talk of a life of quiet contemplation, simple meals, and a life of quiet meditation? That's all just fooling fools. What's the point of life if not immortality, wealth, beautiful women, and a carefree existence? Look at my apprentice. He pointed at Sun Wukong, great sage equal to heaven. How awesome was he before? Now he obediently follows me, doesn't he? Why? Because I, the burial master, can take them on a carefree and happy life, enjoying all the riches and glory. As long as you remain loyal to me, I promise. From now on, we'll eat all the peaches from Mount Ling. We'll drink the Jade Emperor's nectar like water. Princesses and fairies, we'll talk about that later. In short, follow Master Zhang, and you'll have meat to eat, wine to drink, money to spend, and you might even live forever. As he spoke, Sun Wukong chimed in, waving his golden cudgel and cheering him on, that's right. Master Zhang is right. Follow Master Zhang, and you'll live a life of luxury. These incredibly tempting words, combined with Sun Wukong's imposing manner, immediately stirred the hearts of the group of ignorant young monks below, their eyes shining with excitement. Some people even couldn't help but applaud and cheer. Immortality, wealth and beautiful women. This is much more appealing than chanting scriptures and worshipping Buddha every day. Elder Jinchi looked at his monks, who were on the verge of being brainwashed, and his face turned as black as the bottom of a pot. He cursed the black bear demon 1,000 times in his heart. Why isn't that stupid bear here yet? If he doesn't come soon, this old monk will be swindled out of all his savings by this wicked monk. Just as he was so anxious he was about to vomit blood, a series of heavy footsteps and commotion suddenly came from the direction of the temple gate. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. Then, the enormous figure of the black bear demon appeared at the doorway. Behind it followed a group of strangely shaped little demons wielding sticks, looking menacing and exuding a demonic aura. Elder Jinchi was so excited he almost burst into tears. He jumped out impatiently, pointed at Tang Sanzang, and cried out in a shrill voice. "Brother Black Bear! You've finally arrived! Quickly! Quickly capture this evil monk for this old monk!" Chapter 11. The air was deathly silent. Only Elder Jinchi's shrill voice still echoed, as abrupt as a clown on a stage. After he finished speaking, he seemed to realize that the atmosphere was not right. The scene that was expected, the black bear spirit roaring and pouncing on Tang Sanzang, did not happen. Instead, the black bear and the group of lesser demons behind it stared at him as if he were an idiot. Elder Jinchi's heart skipped a beat, and an ominous premonition welled up in his mind. He forced himself to remain calm, strode up to the black bear spirit, and lowered his voice, his tone both seductive and urgent. "Brother Black Bear! Quick! Capture this wicked monk! His brocade robe is a Buddhist treasure. If you help me, the robe is yours afterward, and you'll also get half of the treasures in Guanyin temple." He thought he had offered enough leverage to sway any demon spirit, fantasizing that the black bear spirit would be persuaded as usual and obediently used as a pawn. After doing all this, he suddenly turned to Tang Sanzang, his face finally revealing a long-suppressed ferocity and smugness. As if victory was assured. "You wicked monk! Your death is at hand. If you know what's good for you, kneel down and beg for mercy immediately, hand over your robe, and this old monk might spare your life." However, the terrified expression he had imagined for Tang Sanzang did not appear. Instead, he saw the bald monk curl a wicked smile, a smile that was both pitying and mocking. "It's as if it's saying, 'You idiot!'" The next second, smack! A sharp, resounding slap landed squarely on Elder Jinchi's old face. The force was so great that it sent him spinning in place, making him dizzy and almost causing him to fall to the ground. The one who took action was none other than the black bear spirit on whom he had placed high hopes. The black bear spirit withdrew its paws, put its hands on its hips, and spat almost onto Elder Jinchi's face as it began to curse. "You old BD! Are you blind? Do you even know that I, Old Black, am working for the funeral master now? You want me to hit the funeral master? Are you FG tired of living? Trying to kill me?" Elder Jinchi was completely stunned by the slap. He covered his face, staring at the black bear demon in disbelief, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets. You, brother Black Bear, are you insane? I am Jinchi. We are best friends. We enjoy tea and discuss Buddhism together. Pa! Who said we're best friends? Before he could finish speaking, the black bear demon swung his hand back and delivered another powerful blow, causing Elder Jinchi's other cheek to swell up as well. "You dare call that junk you've hidden away a treasure? It's not even worth a hair on my leg. Discussing the way? The analects that Grandpa buried me talked about last night are more profound than all the scriptures you've recited in your entire life." After finishing his tirade, the black bear spirit ignored the stunned Elder Jinchi, turned around, and led the group of strange little demons behind him, running happily to Tang Sanzang. The massive body strained to adopt a respectful posture, and reported in a deep, muffled voice, "Master. As you ordered, all the brothers from the nearby hilltops who are willing to join us have been brought here. 38 in total, all skilled fighters. They all want to follow you, Master Zhang, to accomplish great things and live a life of luxury." The 30-odd lesser demons all knelt on one knee in unison, shouting at the top of their lungs, "Greetings, Lord Burial." The sound wave shook the entire Guanyin temple. The entire room was completely silent, you could hear a pin drop. Those monks who had been observing were now utterly astonished, their eyes wide with unparalleled shock and fervor as they looked at Tang Sanzang. Good heavens! Just who is this holy monk from the Tang dynasty? Even the infamous Black Bear spirit and so many other demons were subservient to him, calling him Lord of the Underworld. How much skill does that take? If his promises of immortality, wealth, and beautiful women are true, then following him might really lead to a bright future. At this moment, Elder Jinchi's face was ashen, and his whole body was trembling like a leaf, overwhelmed by boundless fear. His greatest reliance, his so-called closest friend, had long since betrayed him and sided with the other party. He recalled how he had just recklessly threatened the other party. He suddenly felt a chill run from the soles of his feet to the top of his head, and his crotch felt hot. He had wet himself in fear. Tang Sanzang nodded in satisfaction, looking at the Black Bear spirit. He thought to himself that although this simple-minded bear wasn't very bright, he was quite efficient and had potential, making him worth cultivating. Just then, out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of Elder Jinchi, who was slumped on the ground, secretly reaching into his sleeve as if trying to take something out. Tang Sanzang's eyes turned cold. At a time like this, you still want to pull some tricks? Without saying a word, a thought struck him. The ancient gold brick rewarded by the system instantly appeared in his hand, and he casually tossed it towards Elder Jinchi. Whoosh! Bang! The gold brick transformed into a beam of golden light, striking Elder Jinchi's crown with lightning speed and absolute precision. There was a muffled thud, like a ripe watermelon bursting open, with red and white substances splattering everywhere. Elder Jinchi didn't even utter a sound before his soul vanished, and his body slumped to the ground. The entire venue fell into dead silence once again. Those monks who had just been full of fervor were now silent and trembling, their gazes towards Tang Sanzang filled with awe. This man not only possesses extraordinary abilities. Their killings are decisive and ruthless. Tang Sanzang acted as if nothing had happened, waving his hand to retrieve the gold brick, wiping the bloodstains on his monk's robe, surveying the entire scene, his voice calm yet carrying an undeniable authority. You all saw that? This is what happens when you go against me, the funeral master. I, the burial master, have always been fair. Follow me, and you'll have meat to eat, wine to drink, and martial arts to practice. Immortality won't be a dream. But whoever dares to outwardly comply but inwardly defy, betray their own side. He weighed the gold brick in his hand, sneered, and said, that old bald monk is a perfect example. Now, I declare that this Guanyin temple, from today onwards, will be renamed the Burial Palace. Those who are willing to work for me, stay. Those who are not, get out now. But if they stay and still dare to have disloyal thoughts. Humph. After he finished speaking, the entire audience was silent for a few seconds, then erupted in thunderous applause and shouts. The funeral master is mighty. I swear to follow Master Zhang to the death. Funeral Palace. Funeral Palace. Seeing the excited crowd, Tang Sanzang himself became excited as well. He waved his hand and shouted to Sun Wukong. Monkey! Go! Take a few brothers and head to the back mountain to get some fat sheep and a few jars of good wine. Tonight, let's have a grand opening and drink until we drop. All right. Funeral Master. Sun Wukong responded excitedly, selected a few clever little demons, and ran off excitedly towards the back mountain. The afterglow of the setting sun illuminated the bustling scene inside the courtyard. The aroma of meat begins to fill the air, along with the rich fragrance of wine. The monster and the monk sat together, arms around each other, calling each other brothers, creating a bizarre yet harmonious scene. Tang Sanzang sat in the main seat, eating skewers and drinking wine. Looking at the scene before him, he let out a satisfied burp. The journey to the west to obtain Buddhist scriptures is becoming more and more interesting. Chapter 12. High above the 9 heavens, amidst auspicious clouds, Guanyin Bodhisattva stood on a lotus platform, her brows slightly furrowed, and slowly walked towards the Guanyin temple. She pondered the progress of this difficult situation. According to the established script, at this moment, Elder Jinchi should have already become greedy for the brocade cassock, and set fire to it at night to murder Tang Sanzang. Then, the cassock was stolen by the Black Bear Demon in the chaos. After several unsuccessful battles with the Black Bear Demon, Sun Wukong finally subdued the bear himself, allowing Tang Sanzang and his disciples to continue their journey westward. This ordeal was intended to test whether Tang Sanzang could maintain his integrity and remain unmoved by external things, and also to let Wukong know that there are always people more powerful than him, and that he must curb his arrogance. Guanyin pondered in her heart. Although Tang Sanzang's temperament has become violent and eccentric, he is still the reincarnation of Jin Chanzi. Surely, when facing mortals, he wouldn't cause any more horrifying incidents. She felt somewhat uneasy, but she figured the script didn't offer Tang Sanzang much room for maneuver. However, she still wanted to see the situation for herself. However, when her cloud descended over the Guanyin temple and her gaze fell upon the temple grounds, she was struck dumb. All that could be seen was the courtyard below. Where is there even a trace of the tranquility of a Buddhist sanctuary? It was even more filthy and chaotic than a demon's lair. A group of strangely shaped little demons and the monks who were originally in the temple were sitting together with their arms around each other. A huge bonfire burned in the middle, with several unidentified animals roasted until they were charred and dripping with oil on top. Wine jars were scattered all over the ground, and the air was filled with the strong aroma of meat and wine. Shouts, drinking games, and laughter mingled together. It was utter chaos and uproar. Meanwhile, Tang Sanzang, the pilgrim who should have been observing a vegetarian diet and chanting Buddhist scriptures, was sitting arrogantly in the main seat. He held a juicy, roasted animal leg in his left hand. He was carrying a wine jar in his right hand. His face was flushed, and he was talking animatedly to the fawning black bear spirit beside him. Sun Wukong and the white dragon horse were munching on fruit nearby, seemingly quite used to this scene. Guanyin Bodhisattva stared in disbelief, her slender fingers trembling as she pointed downwards. After a long while, she finally managed to squeeze out a low utterance filled with boundless anger. This is outrageous. She could no longer restrain herself, her body radiated a burst of Buddhist light, and her lotus platform instantly descended in the center of the courtyard. She uttered a clear, resounding cry. Tang Sanzang! Boom! The powerful aura of the Bodhisattva instantly enveloped the entire area. The once noisy courtyard fell completely silent. The lesser demons and ordinary monks were so frightened by this sudden divine aura that they trembled and sobered up considerably. However, contrary to expectations of a scene where everyone would kneel in panic, the monsters and monks present, though frightened, did not scatter and flee. Instead, they all turned their gazes to Tang Sanzang in the main seat, as if awaiting his command. Tang Sanzang was also startled by this sudden check-up, and almost choked on the meat in his mouth. But he quickly composed himself, his eyes darting around, and a delighted smile instantly spread across his face as he thrust the meat leg in his hand forward. Oh! Isn't this Guanyin? What brings you here? Have you eaten yet? Come, it's freshly baked, smells delicious. Would you like to try some? Sun Wukong picked at his ear, and the white dragon horse snorted, both with expressions that said, "Here we go again." The other people and monsters, especially the black bear spirit, stared wide-eyed, utterly shocked. That's Guanyin Bodhisattva. The renowned Guanyin Bodhisattva, known throughout the three realms for her great compassion and mercy, saving all beings from suffering. In the eyes of us demons, she is a supreme being. The funeral director actually dared to address her as sister and even let the Bodhisattva eat meat. Guanyin was taken aback by Tang Sanzang's reckless behavior, and then her eyebrows shot up in anger. Tang Sanzang! You dare to break the precepts by drinking alcohol and eating meat. You've even turned this sacred Buddhist place into a chaotic mess, associating with demons and evil spirits. Do you know your crime? Her rebuke contained Buddhist power, which shocked the lesser demons so much that they fled in terror, hiding in corners and trembling. Tang Sanzang, however, remained completely unperturbed. He leisurely put down the wine and meat, even wiping his mouth, and then began to spout nonsense with a straight face. Bodhisattva, you are mistaken. Wine and meat pass through the intestines, but Buddha remains in the heart. My actions are precisely to set an example and educate these lost spirits and fallen monks. Look how united they are now. No more fighting and killing, but sitting together drinking and eating meat, talking about life, the lives of demons and human beings. Doesn't this embody the essence of Buddhism's philosophy of equality and compassion for all beings? Guanyin was so enraged by his sophistry that she nearly fainted. Her chest heaved violently. Pointing at Tang Sanzang, she stammered for a long time before finally saying sternly. Solidifying arguments. Using flattery and deceit. Tang Sanzang, I warn you, if you continue to act so recklessly and tarnish the reputation of Buddhism, don't blame me for reporting to the Buddha and having your qualification as a pilgrim revoked. Upon hearing this, Tang Sanzang's smile instantly turned cold, and a chilling glint flashed in his eyes. But soon, he reverted to his nonchalant demeanor, feigning grievance as he spread his hands and said. Please calm your anger, Bodhisattva. I know I was wrong. From now on, I will definitely pay attention to my image, act with humility, and never bring shame to Buddhism. I will work diligently to complete the great mission of obtaining the scriptures. His tone was incredibly sincere. Guanyin's anger subsided slightly when she saw that he had yielded. He then offered a few more words of Buddhist teachings and emphasized the importance of the pilgrimage to the West. Finally, filled with resentment and doubt, he boarded his lotus platform and departed in anger. Until Guanyin's figure disappeared into the horizon. The fawning and aggrieved look on Tang Sanzang's face vanished instantly, replaced by an icy coldness. He spat fiercely. Pa! You filthy woman, you think you can boss me around just because you're highly skilled. If I weren't so weak right now, I'd steal your jade bottle and use it as a chamber pot sooner or later. The black bear spirit cautiously approached and flattered in a muffled voice, Master, please calm down. Even the Bodhisattva. Smack! Before it could finish speaking, a large slap landed squarely on its furry head. Her mother. There are no old people here at my funeral. From now on, call her Guanyin. Tang Sanzang cursed. This scene delighted Sun Wukong, who grinned from ear to ear. After all, it had always been the only one receiving the care from the funeral master. Now that it saw the black bear being beaten up, it felt much more at ease, and even a little schadenfreude. What are you looking at? Tang Sanzang glared at Sun Wukong. Pack your things. We're leaving first thing tomorrow morning. Black Bear. Yes, Your Excellency. What are your orders? The black bear spirit covered its head and quickly replied. You stay here and be the abbot of this funeral palace. Keep an eye on these little demons and bald monks, and the monks who stayed behind. Tang Sanzang instructed, manage this place well for me, make it our first stronghold. Have some lesser demons gather intelligence and collect resources, understand? Understood. Understood. Rest assured, Master. I, Lao He, will definitely take good care of your home. The black bear demon thumped his chest loudly. That night, the funeral palace was still noisy, but much quieter than before. Tang Sanzang lay in the luxurious meditation room that originally belonged to Elder Jinchi, legs crossed, pondering the path ahead. He completely disregarded Guanyin's warning. Instead, it strengthened his resolve to quickly increase his strength and build up his power. The journey to the west is still long. Buddha, Guanyin, let's take our time. A cold smile curled at the corner of his lips as he blew out the oil lamp. Chapter 13. After leaving Guanyin Temple, the group continued their journey westward. Tang Sanzang rode his white dragon horse, a frowned cigarette dangling from his mouth, puffing away in a carefree and elegant manner. Sun Wukong, carrying his golden cudgel, led the way, occasionally scratching his ears and cheeks, and secretly glancing back at the smoking little stick in his master's hand, his monkey eyes full of curiosity. The white dragon horse strode steadily, but inwardly it grumbled, "This journey to the west isn't what we were promised. Wasn't it supposed to be filled with hardship and danger at every turn? It feels like a boss taking his underlings out for a spring outing, the kind where they're always ready to take over territory." Tang Sanzang paid no attention to his subordinate's thoughts. He was squinting, recalling the upcoming plot. If I remember correctly, the next stop should be Gao Village, Chuang, right? The image of Pigsy, with his fat head and big ears, carrying a 9-toothed rake, came to mind. Immediately, a clearer and more graceful figure captured his thoughts: Gao Quilin. The daughter of Gao Taigong, the patriarch of Gao Village, is said to be incredibly beautiful and charming, a renowned beauty for miles around. Upon thinking of this, Tang Sanzang's eyes immediately gleamed with a green light, like a hungry wolf seeing a little lamb, and he even forgot to smoke the cigarette he was holding. Tisk tisk, Miss Gao. I wonder what it's like to be a beauty in the mortal realm. He stroked his chin, a smile, a mixture of anticipation and lewdness on his face, completely forgetting that he was now a monk. This expression was caught by Sun Wukong, who kept turning around. The monkey finally couldn't hold back any longer. It somersaulted back, approached the horse, scratched its face, and asked curiously, "Grandpa, you've been giving me that weird hee laugh every now and then on this journey. What good thing are you plotting? It seems even better than stealing a peach from the heavenly palace. Have you come up with another way to make money? Or is there some powerful monster ahead waiting for us to deal with?" In Sun Wukong's simple mind, the only things that could make the funeral masters so happy were treasure and fighting. Tang Sanzang was just thinking about Gao Quilin's charm when he was interrupted by the monkey, and he glared at it irritably. However, being in a good mood, he didn't mind and instead popped another frowned cigarette out of the pack and tossed it to Sun Wukong. "You little monkey, you're quite curious. Here, try this, a specialty from my hometown, it'll make you feel like you're in heaven." Sun Wukong hurriedly caught it, and imitating Tang Sanzang, he put the filter end into his mouth, smacked his lips a couple of times, and found it tasteless. Tang Sanzang chuckled, pulled out a lighter, and lit it for him with a snap. "Stupid monkey, light it and inhale. Inhale hard." Sun Wukong did as he was told and took a deep breath. Cough cough cough. Cough cough cough. The intense spiciness instantly rushed into its throat, choking it until tears and snot streamed down its face. It bent over, coughing so violently that it almost dropped its golden cudgel. Funeral master, what is this thing? It's choking me to death." The white dragon horse snorted and moved 2 steps back in disgust, afraid of being choked by the smoke. Tang Sanzang laughed heartily, "Smoke slowly. This stuff is called tobacco. It's harmful to mortals and will shorten their lives. But for cultivators like us, especially a monkey with skin of copper and bones of iron like you, it's no problem at all. It's invigorating, refreshing, and relieves worries better than any celestial elixir. Think about it again." Sun Wukong was skeptical, so he stopped coughing and carefully took a small sip. This time, after the spiciness, a slight dizziness and a sense of relaxation did slowly rise up. It feels rather surprising. It tried a few more times and gradually mastered the trick, eventually managing to exhale a few crooked smoke rings that looked quite decent. It blinked its fiery eyes, savoring the slightly euphoric feeling, and exclaimed with delight, "Hey! This is actually quite interesting. It feels like taking a sip before a fight would give me even more energy." Thus, a strange scene unfolded on the journey to the west. A handsome monk rode a magnificent white horse, while a monkey with a hairy face and a thunderous mouth carried an iron rod. A man and a monkey walked side by side, each with a cigarette dangling from their mouths, puffing out smoke and chatting as they went. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was a bandit leader from some mountain stronghold patrolling with his henchmen. "Master, so you're saying there's a monster named Pigsy in that village up ahead? Or maybe my old son Wukong's junior brother, Marshal Tianpeng?" Sun Wukong asked, exhaling a smoke ring. "That's right. That idiot got drunk and harassed Chang'e back then, so the Jade Emperor banished him to the mortal realm. He was mistakenly reincarnated as a pig, becoming a pig-headed, human-bodied blockhead." Tang Sanzang curled his lip. "He's probably stuck in Gao Village right now, forcing Miss Gao to marry him." "Hey! That's interesting." Sun Wukong chuckled. "I'd heard he was a lecher back in heaven, but I never imagined he'd still be a lecherous old man after coming down to earth. Master Zombie, what should we do this time? Should we just storm his door, drag that pig head out, and beat him senseless until he calls us Master Zombie? Or..." Tang Sanzang squinted, took the last drag of his cigarette, flicked the butt away with precision, and revealed a mysterious smile. "Is fighting and killing so low in skill? This time, we'll outsmart them." "Outsmart them?" Sun Wukong asked, his monkey face full of doubt. "Yes." Tang Sanzang chuckled, "Let's sneak into Gao Village first and see what's going on. If Miss Gao is indeed as beautiful as the legends say, hee, I might just have to play the hero and rescue her. Then we'll have gained both people and money, and maybe even picked up a porter carrying our luggage while we're at it. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" Although Sun Wukong didn't quite understand, he immediately perked up when he heard there was a fight and the chance to recruit followers. "I'll do whatever you say, Master. Whatever you say, I'll do." After another day of travel, they could see a large manor with wisps of smoke rising from its chimneys and neatly arranged houses in the distance. This must be Gao Lao Chuang. Tang Sanzang reined in his white dragon horse, shading his eyes with his hand as he looked out. He saw that the village seemed to be decorated with lanterns and colorful streamers, and the faint sound of drums and music could be heard. "Hey! This looks like a wedding celebration." Tang Sanzang raised an eyebrow, muttering to himself. Could it be that Pigsy is going to force Gao Quilin to marry him tonight? Damn it, timing is everything. He immediately instructed Sun Wukong. "Monkey, put away your thunderous face, change your appearance, let's pretend to be traveling monks and go into the village to see what's going on. Remember, act according to the situation, and don't make a move without my signal." "Yes, sir." Sun Wukong responded and transformed into a gaunt, hair-covered monk, though the cleverness in his eyes was still evident. Tang Sanzang straightened his cassock, and although he still couldn't hide his roguish air, at least he looked like a proper monk. He patted the white horse, "Find a place to rest in the woods outside the village and wait for our signal." With everything prepared, the master and apprentice headed towards Gao Lao Chuang, where the sounds of gongs and drums filled the air. Chapter 14. Although lanterns and red ribbons were hung everywhere in Gao Lao Chuang, there was not a trace of festive atmosphere. The servants and attendants passing by all looked gloomy and sighed, as if a funeral was being held. The bright red double happiness character pasted on the door seemed particularly jarring. Tang Sanzang and Sun Wukong, disguised as a wandering ascetic, swaggered to the gate of the manor. Knowing full well the answer, he grabbed a worried-looking servant and feigned surprise, saying, Amitabha Buddha, benefactor, your estate is brightly decorated today, is there some great joyous occasion? Why do you all look so sorrowful, as if you have something difficult to say? The servant looked up and saw that the one who asked the question was a handsome monk, followed by a shrewd-eyed ascetic. Not daring to be negligent, he answered honestly with a pained expression. Alas! Master, you don't know this at all. It's not a joyous occasion at all. Our master has been forced to take a monster as his son-in-law. Today is the very day that monster is coming to forcibly marry our young lady. This is an absolute catastrophe. Upon hearing this, Tang Sanzang immediately clasped his hands together in prayer. Such a thing is true. This humble monk is a subject of the great Tang dynasty in the east, sent by imperial decree to the western paradise to worship Buddha and seek scriptures. I possess some knowledge of methods for subduing demons and monsters. Now that I have encountered this scourge, how can I stand idly by? I wonder if I could rid your estate of this menace. The servants were skeptical and unsure how to answer. Just then, Master Gao arrived upon hearing the news. Master Gao was about 50 years old, but at this moment he looked haggard, with sunken eyes. Upon seeing Tang Sanzang, he noticed that although the monk was travel-worn, he possessed extraordinary handsome features and an air of, well, something extraordinary about him, unlike that of ordinary monks. He felt as if he had grasped a lifeline, and without thinking twice, he quickly stepped forward and bowed in respect. Holy monk! If you can save my daughter from this misery and my entire Gao family, you will be my second parents. My Gao family is willing to give everything to repay you. Sure, sure.